Hey everyone, just quickly, before we jump into the episode, we just want to say, could you please double check you've hit that subscribe button? Because it is the best way of supporting the show.
And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that bell icon as well, so YouTube will notify you when we have our new episodes out every week.
Otherwise, let's jump in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to NeuroNotes. I'm Kenzo, this is Sam. We're the neurological physiotherapists behind PhysiKits, and this is our podcast where we try to demystify neurological conditions and rehab, specifically from a physiotherapy point of view, and try to make information about rehab accessible to everyone who's driven to learn more. Now, this is our second official episode, technically our first official clinical information episode.
It's a big one.
It's a very big one.
Big one today.
And so it's a question, we want to start big with a question that we get from all sorts of people, from DMs online, through our PhysiKits channels, social media, as well as our face-to-face clients through our daily work. And our question is, how can I get the most out of my neurological rehab? It's a question that's also very close to our hearts, and so we want to tackle this off the bat.
Yeah, it's a great starting place for really anyone who's listening to something for the first time, because it kind of sets you up for the best amount of success out of your rehab.
100%. And so, knowing this is a big topic, it's a bit broad and it's hard to know exactly where to start. And so we thought the best question to open with might be what good rehab looks like. So, if you'd like to kick us off, Sam, what do you think good rehab looks like?
Absolutely. Well, I guess I'll get specific first. We are neurological physios. So we work with injuries of the brain, as I'm sure all of our listeners now know. And so neurological injuries usually require a different kind of framework to build around to be able to get the most level of success out of their intervention.
Yeah.
So there's a heap of principles. It's actually really interesting to go and Google the principles of neurological rehab. I think there's I can't remember. It's like up to 10. And there's
It does depend on source and things like that as well.
Yeah, it depends on a few different things. But so again, if you want to go check out a few more of these, we won't go through all of them today, but I'll pick a top 3. So the principles that good rehab is built around, that I think is essential for any neurological condition. Number 1, I'd probably say it has to be dosage. It's about making sure people actually get the amount of repetitions in that they need, and figuring out how to deliver that amount of repetition.
Repetition of exercise and things.
Yeah. Because the volume that you practice is almost one of the most important things out of anything.
Yeah.
So second to that though is the specificity of your training. So how specifically focus on something that you need to work on, and then get literally target that as much as you can with as much volume as you can to have the best results. It sounds pretty straightforward, but there's so many times that I've been seeing someone and they've been, the goals aren't very clear.
Yeah.
And then you just even though you're we're working on something, but it's not that specifically well defined, there's really no way to be able to track the progress towards it or not.
Yeah, so it's specificity either towards the client's goals or the condition they have or the problem that the condition's causing, making sure that whatever they're practicing is addressing that.
Yeah. And so the third, I think, again, ties into both of those two really well, is how sustainable is the intervention plan over a long period of time.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I think this is a really important part that comes with good education. So again, even though education isn't necessarily a principle of neurological practice, I think there will be a way of winding it in there, because I think that the education of all 3 of those parts, but specifically how to make it sustainable long term, is really the thing that makes it either happen for, trying physio for, 2 months and feel like you get nowhere, or implementing a program for, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, the rest of your life, that really has a big swinging impact effect on your actual level of functioning.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more with those top 3 points. I'd say they're the 3 that come up even when you search online for neuro rehab principles, and you see so many across different sources and different textbooks, that kind of thing. These 3 seem to, in different words, show up consistently.
I think easy to find.
Yeah.
Knowing how to put them in place in someone's real life who has actual struggles, problems, constraints, and barriers.
Yeah.
That's where I think maybe our roles come in to be so important, is learning how to still get those great principles in, mix and match around the puzzle that is, helping someone's life.
Yeah. So I guess that leads in pretty nicely to, the next question, which would be, with those principles in mind, we obviously when it comes to the relationship between a therapist, whether it's a physio or another healthcare provider, and a patient or someone looking for assistance with their condition, this type of relationship that the two end up building can really differ between clinic, between therapists, between what the client's looking for, which I guess, like you were saying, just the different circumstances that someone has around their whole life can change what they might be seeking out from a therapist. And so how would you say, like, how would these principles differ between these different ways that a therapist and a client might build a relationship?
It can vary massively.
Yeah.
Like, just off the top of my head, like, let's say if we break it down to different ways of, like, the different roles that, let's say I'm the clinician and you're the client or patient, depends on where in the world, client or patient essentially is an interchangeable word. The role that I play can be different massively between just different ways people practice their skills.
Yeah.
So, for example, if let's say I'm the clinician, I can probably off the top of my head list like 3 different types of roles that I could play. One is more of like an educator. One is more of like an instructor, like I just tell you what to do. And the third is probably more of just like a passive approach.
Like you're providing something, I suppose.
Yeah. So like I'm just doing something explicitly for you.
Yeah.
And that's it. So the educator essentially tries to bring up the level of knowledge of the client to be involved in the plan as much as possible. So that's almost like what the focus is.
Yeah.
The instructor essentially just tells you what to do. So you go away, you do it, you come back, but you don't really understand.
Kind of like a personal trainer, maybe.
Yeah. There's not that same education piece that like pins it all together and has you knowing why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And the third, which again is going to be the bottom of the rung for me as well, if I was ranking them 1, 2, 3, is someone who you come in to see me. I do some manual therapy with my hands or just some exercises in the clinic. Maybe once a week, once a fortnight, once a month, and that's it. And then you leave with nothing.
Sort of like treatment or therapy is only happening face to face with that provider. Yeah,
exactly. And then you can probably see that, like, let's say you've got that educator role, instructor role, and the hands-on role.
Yeah.
I think the big difference here is like how much education someone's willing to do, and like the tough part is I know that physios are stretched for time, no matter what. So like I've got to give physios a break. That it's a huge job to try and teach someone something. Like it takes way more mental effort and time, which typically in busy clinics they don't actually have.
Yeah.
But let's say that in an ideal world we have unlimited time and you can focus just on that education piece at the very beginning. We look back at those 3 key principles: dosage, specificity, and
sustainability over time.
Yeah, sustainability over time. You achieve that through education and like getting someone to buy into what you're trying to tell them to do.
Yeah.
Just trying to set the other things up. You just don't achieve these anywhere near the volume that you do to be able to have good impact on someone's lives as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I guess if someone came in and they had these goals in mind, the therapist say they're taking the middle road approach in our minds, which is the more of an instructor role. They assess the client, or the patient, they come up with the ideas of these are the problems that I think you have from, say, your multiple sclerosis or any other neurological condition, and these exercises are going to address those things, and go away and practice them. Yeah. I think you can envision a world where that works. They start to have improvements, but of course they need to keep coming back to get new and newer prescriptions. And that means more and more sessions adding up over time. Yeah. Maybe not quite doing as much practice at home to get as much volume out of their training as possible. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Just to break away for 1 minute as well, and just mention that with that more passive sort of the therapist is doing something to the client. I think doesn't show up quite as much in neuro rehab, I feel, but I think it can be quite big in, say, like traditional physiotherapy, musculoskeletal clinics where people come in for massage and
I think so, but then there's so many stories out there that I've come across that I think it's really important to mention anyway. Yeah. Because seeing neurological clients that's all we do. Yeah. So all we do is these types of injuries and conditions, rehab. the amount of times I've had someone come onto my caseload from not getting results from seeing a practitioner who sees potentially just a bit more like a musculoskeletal or a sore, my arm's sore, and make that feel better approach. And they've just been doing the same thing for a year of like a purely hands-on approach because that's the only way they know how to treat.
Addressing the surface symptoms only.
Yeah, so I think even though it's not very common because I think that's our world, it's not very common.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to note because again, if someone's been, you come in and get your back massage for 30 minutes, I'm sorry, you are not improving any of your neurological outcomes whatsoever.
It's good to be very aware of that, everyone.
Can be really handy adjunct because it could be great symptom management. But if that's all you're doing, we got some news for you.
Yeah, more of that coming.
Exactly. Time to start learning with PhysiKits essentially.
I'd say too, it is also good to be aware of some of the products that some clinics market. They say they install these very expensive machines that are supposed to retrain your brain by. I remember I had one client referred to some clinic where it basically said to a machine that would sort of strap them in and spin them around, supposedly to try and retrain the brain through different sensors at the same time. And of course, maybe there is some science to back that up, but of course, the catch is you can only get that done when you go in to pay for this extensive machine and a session with it. You have to come in regularly to get that dosage, which still would apply to these machines.
Yeah.
And that's going to add up quickly over time. Yeah.
Well, not just add up over time, it's the amount of time that you're actually using to do these. Again, maybe some that have their place for some people. Again, it's an adjunct. It shouldn't be the core of it.
Yeah.
But if that's all they're doing, they're spending all that time and resources to put their faith in a machine.
Yes, exactly.
And they're not having any of this like learning effect of like the amount of volume they have to do to practice the skill.
Yeah.
Educating why the volume is important.
Yeah.
Finding ways of making it easy for them to put in their daily routine. Like there's just the value that they've lost, but there's the opportunity cost at the same time that they not only have they probably stayed the same. If they're doing something else, they could have really started to improve in a few outcomes, whereas they didn't. They stayed the same.
Like imagine how much they could have done by investing all that time into understanding how they can apply these things at home and just get the most out of their personal routine with volume and specificity and targeted exercises that they control. From an early stage. I think that's particularly important as well. We talk a lot about the forgotten middle, and so if someone's newly diagnosed, which we're going to talk about more in upcoming episodes. But if someone's newly diagnosed and that's such a crucial time to try and get as much early understanding and sort of almost prehab of their condition as possible and like early targeted intervention, people tend to miss that window because they just don't have the right guidance set up in the beginning. I feel. So that does beg the question though. Do you think that this high level education model is applicable to everyone? Like, do you think everyone would get the best outcomes out of this model?
I'm going to have to say probably not. I think people are just so unique and diverse that their personal life can just be so different from one to another that they actually they don't want this type of model or approach because it doesn't suit them. And that is completely fine. Like that's where the role of the clinician comes in to identify that, identify it with them, explain that that's something that they can identify, and then problem solve. Like that's part of our job. So I'm gonna have to say, as much as I wish I could say yes, and say no, because again, there's just so many different attributes to people out there. Like if I just had to quickly name a few, like available time. Some people are just working huge hours, don't have the time to go and do anything else extra. They don't want to put the brain power towards it. Like they're really fatigued and they'd rather have someone else lead them through it. Money's a big factor. Like where you live is a big factor. Access to like experienced, specialized like providers. Another huge factor. Like there's not Sam and Kenzo's everywhere. So
if only.
Well, this is where we're hoping to be able to bring a bit more Sam and Kenzo to everybody.
Try and spread the word, spread the knowledge. Exactly. But I've definitely worked with a few clients like that myself. Like if someone has a neurological condition which would benefit in an ideal world from them going home and put as much practice in as they can, understanding how to progress. Like say they reach a point where, these exercises are starting to get easy. I need to know when to progress that, say if they're only seeing me a month down the track. Whereas like you said, they either maybe have a really busy job, they don't have enough time to put all this time into practicing, or they have a lot of money to spare. They're happy to come in and do that face-to-face session regularly. And so I've had those people who just say like, look, just tell me what you need me to do this week, come check me the next week, tell me what I've improved on, what maybe has fallen behind, give them the update to practice again that next week. And that does work for some people. It comes with there's always pros and cons to these things, and that just means it's going to be a more consistent cost that they'll be paying for that regular review. And they're happy with that.
Well, it's kind of like school. Like, technically, you can go through school, you don't have to be the most academic person. Like, you can get homework. Plenty of days I just did no homework at all because I had other things I wanted to do instead. It's just that I think where that example falls apart is that's when you're a child, you didn't have the same awareness of how the flow and effects go into your adult life. Whereas now, as an adult, you're given exercise homework. I would think that someone would have the onus on themselves to be able to see that this does have an impact on how their adult life is going to progress. I think it's definitely important to know that is to get the most. If you like to think of life as sort of time investments with different things that you prioritize in your life, investing in understanding of your own health is probably one of the most valuable things you can do. But whether that is a decision you want to take is then a bit more of a personal decision. But the fact is, knowing how to integrate exercise and things like that into your life and having the knowledge and the empowerment through someone teaching you that is really important. I think one thing I want to just quickly hash as well, we're not hating on all these other different kinds of physios out there. As I remember, before we started doing neurological specifically, and that's all we ever did, I know for a fact that my interventions weren't as good as they could be. And it's just from like learning and experience over time that I've been able to try and improve my model of intervention. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with different ways of delivering intervention. But sometimes, for example, the listeners at home, once you kind of learn a few things and start to get aware enough, thinking that, there could be more that I could be doing, sometimes the onus is going to fall on you yourself to go and ask these questions and say, hey, there's, potentially, is there more that I could be doing? Is there anything that I should understand that would help me, be able to increase how many repetitions I do a day or why I'm doing it? Because you got to remember, if you're the client coming in, and you have specific wants and requests, it's really good to voice them. Because again, I typically can't read people's minds. We can try and figure that out through questioning, but not everyone is going to do just neurological care like we do. So work together with these clinicians, and typically they're pretty burnt out. They don't have much free time. They do their best, but within the constraints of what their calendar allows. So I think sometimes our listeners could probably learn that actually going in, seeking a bit of education could actually be far more valuable than just, the same repetitive session that you've done, the same each fortnight on a Monday. You've been doing the same session. Maybe the next time you could just go and ask, but hey, I'd love to learn a little bit more about what these principles of neurological rehab are that make training effective, so I can learn them, and then I can take home all these things that I learn and keep practicing myself.
Absolutely. So I guess just to run that back into a point, it's a very important point by itself, but if someone's listening to this podcast and they feel like, hey, I do think I want this kind of self-empowerment style of rehab, but I'm not quite sure if I'm getting it, it sounds like the best place to start would be to have that conversation with their current therapist or provider.
Absolutely. And again, it's like clinicians sometimes get stuck in the same channel of doing one thing that just, brought a smile to your face and worked and is just, and just kind of is less thinking for them, which absolutely, that's fine. Part of my day gets pretty automatic, but if you care enough, you can put a little breaker in place to change that same channel of what each regular session can look like.
Actually, I can't count the number of times I've had really sort of groundbreaking moments with some clients where we're doing, at the front we had let's say when we first met, we had some good conversations about what their goals are and did a full assessment, understanding what their impairments or difficulties are from their condition, and then came up with a bit of a plan together to start addressing those and explain how and why they're occurring. But then we sort of fall into the rigmarole of it all ends up being the same thing week to week, where we've hit a bit of a plateau, but sort of the reasoning behind different exercises hasn't changed yet. We still haven't reached our initial goals. Keep plugging away at it. Eventually weeks turn into months and sort of rolls on. But then eventually they've come to me and they've said look, I I've been practicing it this way at home. I don't understand why we're doing it this way, or like, what about this way? Something like that. And then that's opened up more doorways to have a bigger conversation about, it looks like we didn't quite, I had taught you the best way I could have, but it didn't quite match their style of thinking. And so then open up a new way to explore that same concept about a certain exercise. Say it was balance, and how and why to progress balance exercises. Turns out they were sort of compensating for things at home. And everything fell into place then. And we sort of addressed new barriers that we didn't realize were there. And then they went at home and practiced it with a newfound understanding, and just things went much more quickly.
It's magical, isn't it?
It is magical.
Once you see the whole circle kind of complete itself.
Exactly, yeah. But the key thing is there, like, even though I was assessing every week, I was missing a huge part, which is exactly what was happening at home and what was going on in their head as they were practicing.
Yeah.
And so once they brought that to the table, in sort of a two-way street, I guess is what I'm trying to say, where things that the client or patient brings to the table can make such a big difference as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it kind of comes back to then if someone wanted to get, if they felt like this model wasn't necessarily in their system at the moment, but they want to, I would say either A, have a conversation with your clinician. 2, find a clinician where this is more their approach.
Yeah.
Because again, some people get stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
And they don't want to practice different ways. And that's completely fair. That's entirely up to them. Just because I don't think it's the best way of doing something doesn't mean that other people would have to think the same way.
I'd say the way to check as well, if you need to, excuse my voice, the way to check as well if that happens is to talk to your therapist and ask questions. Like, really don't feel afraid to ask questions about, like, why are we doing it this way? Tell me why it works. If you feel like they sort of are a bit of a brick wall and they don't give you answers that are satisfying, try asking more. If that keeps on happening, then it's probably not really either in their skill set or in their preferred approach. In that case, it's probably good to maybe get a second opinion. But I think ask yourself too, like, do you have a good understanding with your current exercises or with your current therapist about why you're doing a certain exercise for your condition specifically? Not just like, I'm doing squats because I want to make my legs stronger, but if you have had a stroke, why are these squats improving legs? Because, like, in light of my stroke specifically. That's sort of the specificity thing that we were talking about earlier, that's important to have in your own understanding.
Yeah, like if we put in a few other examples out there, let's look at MS specifically. Let's have a look at falls risk. Like, we'll use a squatting example. Again, squats are just a great exercise. They cover lots of things, but we'll talk you through our reasoning process. Let's say I'm the clinician, you're the client, you've just come in. Hi, I'm Sam. Lovely to meet you, Kenzo.
Nice to meet you, Sam.
So your goals that we've just talked about,
Yeah.
one of the big ones is you've been having quite a lot of falls at the moment.
Exactly, yeah.
You find that your legs have started to lose some strength.
Yeah.
They feel like they wobble underneath you.
Yeah.
And then you just can collapse down all the way down to your bum.
Yeah.
And then you find it really hard to get back up again.
Yeah, especially sometimes I get stuck in my chair and, like, my right leg just doesn't seem like it switches on.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a great goal we can work on together. So the problem that you're having, we'll make this as simple as possible. The problem that you're having is you don't have the leg strength to be able to maintain your body in an upright position. Now, clinically, I know that's not necessarily right because there is so many factors that go into MS specifically that will increase your falls risk.
Yeah.
But look at just leg strength specifically.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can see that this is an impairment that is actually making you fall. I'm going to give you some body weight squats, getting up and down from a chair. And we're going to start with 3, because that's all that you could do by yourself safely before you were too knackered. And then you started using all of your back muscles to help lift you up instead. So that is a much more specific way of, like, looking at exactly why you're doing something and, like, how the exercise you're doing is addressing it. And the thing to kind of, especially with that example, is that it's picking the exercise to be as functionally aligned with what the goal is as well.
Yeah.
It's just so important. I think we don't dive into that too much today.
Yeah.
But, like, otherwise we'll go down a big, deep, dark rabbit hole.
I think
in future episodes.
I reckon that's a good one. We might dive into this rabbit hole in the next episode or two. But I do want to just jump off the back of that as well and say, like, in that conversation as well, I could then say, like, oh, is my leg strength, do I have, like, has MS made my legs smaller? Or, like, made my muscles smaller? Or is it even just that? And then the therapist is like, well, actually, maybe it's something else, which we'll get into later. But that kind of understanding, I think, is just so important to build. And so feel free to have that back and forth rapport with your
And then
provider.
like within there, let's say if we're using the falls example, let's say that they've felt like they were getting weaker, so they stopped doing something. Then just by having that conversation and starting to get a bit of understanding of like why we're doing this exercise, people can start to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together. In terms of, oh, okay, well actually, because I was feeling weaker, I stopped doing as much. And now they can kind of start to see the reasons why things happen in the first place. And like, now if we go back to the instructor model. Oh, hey Kenzo, nice to meet you, I'm Sam. I'm going to be your physio. What a great goal we have to work on of improving your, reducing your falls risk. Go just do 10 squats for me every day at home.
If all I told you was that I'm feeling weak in the legs and having some falls, and that's as far as we got. Say I went home then and I started doing some squats, maybe only got to a couple and said, I'm not really feeling like this. It fell apart and didn't, either I got a bit scared, maybe I had a collapse during one of them. Came back in and said, I've done them. Well, from there, I guess we're a bit of a...
we're in
that's where the loop starts.
Exactly, that's where the loop starts.
And
then,
Actually, that is a quick point. I think it's important to say, like physios and health providers, we don't, most of us, we don't bite. So, like, it's okay to tell you the truth. Like, I didn't do the exercises, or they didn't feel like they were working for me, or whatever it is, because we're not mind readers. And so that's where you can open up exploring why, what's happening there, what is the barrier, maybe finding an alternative route.
And then again, I think this is a pretty good example to kind of pin a few things in. If we're looking back at what this episode is about, getting the most out of your rehab. I mean, if you kind of come into the clinic the next time after doing these things, and you, I'm just trying to find the words to explain it. And so let's say you come back in and you're like, okay, I've done my 10, and you're like, oh, that was great, but man, I was knackered. Like that was way too much.
Really pushed them to our limits.
Pushed them to our limits. You can probably imagine that the client themselves, why would they want to stick with this long term if if what you had given them completely gassed them, cooked them, and sent them to bed for the rest of the day?
And so point number 3, sustainability over
time. Exactly. So it's coming back to like finding how to make that sustainable.
I think once again that comes down to having that conversation with your therapist and knowing, having an understanding of like so they know how much everything is taxing you. Whether you're seeing progress, whether you really just feel in your heart that this is something you can do on and actually progress over time as well.
Well, I hope you could all stay up to date with our little links backwards and forwards there. We're trying to keep it as valuable as possible.
We'll keep some timestamps in the video description as well if you want to click back and listen to something. But yes, just to get back to the question about like if someone's listening and they want to explore this for themselves, they've had this conversation with a therapist, didn't really go as well as they were hoping, maybe they felt like they just couldn't get a mutual understanding about why they're doing certain things. And then they've tried to look for other providers, they just haven't really found one. Any other things they could look into doing, do you think?
I mean, well, I'll shamelessly plug our PhysiKits. It's a fantastic resource to get someone started. I think just looking at things online, it's just a way to get the ball rolling. I think it's just a way of kind of expanding your knowledge to see what options are even out there. Like, because again, there's so many great things. Like YouTube videos are a fantastic free resource. You can go all the way from free resources up to higher paid educational things. So we have our own. But again, there's so many great things out there. And like just Googling and searching for different ways of kind of getting that knowledge and experience yourself is a great step.
I think there too, like as you're doing that, keep the exact same principles that we've talked about in mind. So like, if you come across, say you have the same leg problem that hypothetical Kenzo did, if you're searching like, oh, I have leg weakness from MS or leg weakness from stroke, exercise program for MS, exercise program for stroke, and things come up and it just gives you a blanket list, kind of like a prescription, in that case, that's sort of more like that middle road where they've just given some like one-size-fits-all thing that does work for a lot of people, but it's not addressing your problem specifically.
Yeah.
If then you find something explaining like why something targets leg weakness in MS or stroke, then you're onto a bit more of a winner there, in my opinion. So make sure you try and find resources that explain why, not just do X, Y, Z because I said so. Oh, another good resource artist, I think, just for general knowledge about your condition, are some like non-governmental, non-profit organisations, like Stroke Foundation for Stroke, in Australia, the MS Society, all these, MS Australia as well. They're all really good.
Yeah,
resources.
typically for most conditions, there's usually a
one
non-for-profit body that has some fantastic resources out there.
100%, yeah. These days too, got to say, Wikipedia is pretty good just for background science. It won't give you this kind of rehab stuff we're talking about, but if you want to know, just so you have the background of like how your condition functions and why, that can actually be a good place to start sometimes.
Yeah.
Great. So I guess to wrap things up, into a few concise, practical take-home tips that we have from today. We'll go through these together, but the first one was understanding good rehab.
Yeah.
There are principles specifically for neurological rehab that are really important in volume, dosage, so like exercise working as medicine, which we'll explore more later, but it requires enough dosage to actually work. So getting that volume in, ideally through home practice or via enough regular face-to-face sessions. And
to add on there, just like even just working with your clinician to set up ways of making it automatic in your everyday life. Trying, again, which feeds into the next point that you're going to say of
specificity.
Of specificity. In terms of like making it applicable to your actual goals. But also the next part, so I've skipped ahead of the overtime. Because it just makes it automatic and it helps you build habits.
100% agree.
Yeah.
And then I guess that we've already explained quite a lot, but having a look at whether you're reaching those sort of parameters through your current workout or exercise and coaching rehab scheme. And so with your therapist, am I having more of a like passive relationship where I go in and have massage or just using a machine that's only available there? Or am I going there to get told what to practice at home? Or am I going there and actually being taught how to practice at home and how to adjust on the fly as I go through the week or go through the months?
I think if I had one more thing to add in there, I think just from like listening to the way that you frame it, I think the one kind of key part that I think I'd just love to add in is I think it also falls under the clinician's role
100%.
to be able to help you as the client get better at all these like self-motivated things. So like I don't think I'd be doing my job very well as a clinician if I wasn't also teaching you the skills of how to try and make something easy to implement every day. So like I think because again, this isn't necessarily inside the scope of physio. It is a little bit, but it's more of like a
psychology of
it's more of like a psychology of like how to actually, do something well. So it's like almost like helping them figure out like, okay, what's a really good way of building up a habit? Like how do I set up a new habit? How do I like change old ones? How do I like substitute in for something else? How I substitute something that I want to do for something else. And like how to actually teaching someone those skills takes a huge amount of time and effort and like trial and error.
It's a good investment over time.
Exactly, but it comes back to a great investment over time. And that if that is the thing that someone was missing in their previous, let's say they were seeing another clinician that wasn't going very well, if that was the piece that they were missing, then that's a fantastic thing to focus on first together.
Absolutely. And so I guess that wraps up really neatly into the last point, whereas if you're not sure if you're getting this kind of model in your current rehab plan, have that conversation with your current therapist. Like if you're struggling to form habits, maybe say look, I'm been trying to do these exercises, but I just can't find the motivation, can't find the routine. See if they have any tips for you. Big one is habit stacking. We'll explore that in another time.
And then again, there's probably a lot of people who listen to this who haven't seen a neurological physio or haven't even seen someone who kind of thinks in this more movement based way, like movement, everyday movement based way. So if you haven't seen one, reach out to anyone. Again, probably someone within your area. Absolutely shoot us some questions. We're more than happy to help out in whatever way we can. But again, some face-to-face sessions for this can be really, really helpful. And that would just asking the question to your neurologist, like, hey, I've heard heard these two guys talk about this thing that they think is really good.
Yeah.
I love any suggestions of where to start. They would absolutely have some great places that they can refer you to.
Yeah, and if they don't really know, then just having a Google search, see if there are any neurological specific physiotherapists or physical therapists in your area, or even like reaching out to some like local, like if your country or city that you live in has a branch of a non-profit somewhere specific to your condition, they might have a therapist that they recommend in the area as well. So if the conversation, especially with your current one, doesn't go well and you're not feeling like you have that rapport or the ability to ask questions and really understand and explore your specific holistic life, then that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Anything you feel like you want to cover as last words?
No, I think we've done a really good job.
Yeah.
I think, again, just to keep summarizing everything we've been summarizing, if I had to pick one key message to like just to plaster all over the walls of this episode,
go for it.
I think would just be consistency is key.
Yep.
And like finding the way to make it consistent is the clinician and the client's role.
Yep. Yeah.
We'll work as a team to find that. And then I think as long as you can get those things, it's, you're so much better set up for success than if you were not.
Sounds great. Couldn't agree more with that. All right, everyone. Well, that brings us to the end of episode 2. We have new episodes coming every week. So if you have any comments about today, any questions, leave them in the comments below. Likewise, if you have any like topics you'd like us to explore in the future, please let us know and we'll add it to our list of episodes that we have coming up.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much for joining us today. And remember, hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with anything that we come up with.
The bell as well is really important these days, I hear. It really does help out.
It's just the best way you can support us. We put a lot of time and effort into these, and we love doing it. But the feedback from you guys is essentially what drives and shapes and molds what episode and content we come up with next.
Yeah, everything is coming. So
so subscribe. Let us know if there's anything else you'd love to know about in the comments below.
And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts as the audio version, we have full video versions up on YouTube as well. And likewise, if you're seeing us as a short on social media, then come across to our YouTube and we have all the full episodes over there. So, hope to see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.